So beginning in a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you. Your legs can be crossed or you can extend them out in front. We'll just take a few cleansing breaths to begin. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth with a sigh. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth with a sigh. One more cleansing breath in. And a full breath out. Now take a few breaths, drawing air in and out through the nose. As you're breathing, begin to notice the movement of your diaphragm. Also, while you're breathing, begin to notice your headspace. Notice where your mind is or where it goes. Noticing when it wanders, and when you can, bring your attention back to the breath. We'll do a new breath practice today, Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, also called Anuloma Viloma, with the grain against the grain. So we inhale through one nostril, exhale through the other, and then switch. Inhale left, exhale right, exhale left, etc. And you'll notice as we do this, you may have one nostril that's the with the grain nostril, and one nostril that's the against the grain. It's just sort of naturally how our body works. And about every 90 minutes or so, that with the grain nostril switches. So you'll maybe notice that one nostril has more free passage than the other. Take your dominant hand, and we'll begin by inhaling through the right nostril. Then close the right, exhale left. Inhale through your left nostril. Close the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Do two more on your own pace, changing sides after the inhale. Enjoying one more round of Nadi Shodhana. When you finish exhaling through the right, release your hand and return to bilateral breathing. In and out through the nose. And if your eyes were closed, you're welcome to blink them open. Let's transition. Oh, actually, we're going to stay seated for a little bit longer this morning. If you need to adjust your legs, you're welcome to. I've already had to adjust my legs once. And so we'll take one ankle across the femur. We're going to do a little ankle warm-up. Now, if sitting is becoming sort of tiring or you're becoming tight in the hips, you can do the same thing laying down. So your ankle is crossed over the femur, and you can use your hand to help circle your ankle, doing a full circle of the ankle. I'm going to sit back up. And then notice which way you're manipulating your ankle, and then we'll go the other direction. And then switch legs. So whichever leg's on top, make a little trade. Or if you're laying down, just switch which leg's crossed over. And if it's easier to have the legs straight, that's fine. We're doing ankle circles, manually manipulating the ankle. And then reverse direction. We're working from the distal points of the body toward the center today. And then release both feet out in front of you just for a moment. Dandasana, seated staff pose. So if I showed to the side, I'm sitting up tall, the crown of my head directly above my tailbone, and you can press your hands right beside your hips, just to give you a little lift to the torso. And here we'll point and flex the feet. Point your toes forward and flex your feet back. I should say that correctly. Plantar flex and dorsiflex. Just manipulating your ankles, pushing through the feet, and then do a couple circles with the ankles directly forward and reverse. Good, and then do a little bend of the knees. You can alternate or bend them both together. And a little rotation of the legs. Let them rotate in and out. Now, we'll come to our backs to warm up the wrists and shoulders, but I want to show this seated so you can see it. We'll take our arms forward and we'll do a stretch for the wrists. And when we do so, our hands are in the push-up position. I think we might have done this last week or 2 weeks ago. The other one we'll do is to point the knuckles down toward the floor, and we'll reach from underneath to stretch the front of the forearm. So let's go ahead and lay down on the back. I like to explain that one because sometimes it's hard to understand based on how I describe it. So you're on your back with feet on the floor, knees up toward the sky. Come back to your breath for a moment. Inhale and exhale. Then let's take our arms to the push-up position, flexing your hands back toward you. Take one hand on top of the other and draw the hand downward toward your shoulder. Stretching the front of the forearm, or I should say the bottom of the forearm. Breathe in. And breathe out. Trade sides, drawing your other wrist downward. If you stretch the thumb, sometimes that intensifies the wrist stretch. Then make a fist and point your knuckles downward toward your knees. Reach your hand from underneath and just draw downward. This is for the top of the forearm. And whichever is your dominant hand, the hand you mouse with on a computer, you might find that it's very tight from that small mouse movement. And switch sides. Make a fist, point it down, and draw it further down with your opposite hand. Take your arms back up to the push-up position. A little scapula exercise for our shoulders. Lift your hands up like you were pushing something away, and then draw your shoulders back down. Lift shoulders up, draw them down. Lift shoulders up, draw them down. 2 more. Lift up and down, up and down. Drape your arms across your chest, just letting the weight of your arms rest across the body. You can separate your feet about the width of your mat and let your knees fold into one another. As you breathe, take big breaths in and let your back expand. You might feel a little stretch through the middle of your back and the backs of your shoulders. Exhale, let the body be heavy. One more inhale. And exhale. Notice which arm's on top. Extend your arms out to the side and flex your hands. So your fingers are pointing up toward your ears almost. Pressing through the palms, you'll feel a big stretch, maybe through the elbow and the forearm. Then drape your arms across the body again, this time putting the opposite arm on top. If you want to adjust your legs, if your knees were together, you could do the opposite, bring your feet together and let the knees open. We're here for a few more breaths. Let your mind rest on the breath rhythm. And on your next inhale, open the arms out to the side, flex your hands, really activating your palms. So you're stretching through the fingers. And then bring your knees back together, feet on the floor, hands beside your hips. So moving toward the hips and shoulders, waking up those areas of the body. Shoulder bridge. Pressing into your feet, lift your hips. Exhale as you slowly lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. 2 more. Inhale, lift. Lower. Last time, lifting. And lower. This next exercise can be just a little confusing, so I'll try to describe it quite clearly. Move your arms out to a T position. Lift your hips just a centimeter off the floor, so you're hovering the hips, using your feet to support. Move your hips over to the right. As you move your hips, your knees don't move. Then press your hips back down onto the mat. Pause and take a breath. Your tailbone is lined up with your right heel. And the hips are skewed to the right of the shoulders and the feet. Inhale, lift your hips just a centimeter off the mat and move the hips back to center, press them down. So now you're back to neutral. We'll go to the other side. Inhale, lift your hips 1 centimeter, guide your hips to the left and press your hips down. Tailbone lines up with the left heel. Breathe in and out. On your inhale, lift your hips, move them back to center and replace. So we did 1 round there, a couple notes. Generally, you're making a letter, a lowercase m with your pelvis. up and over, up and over. Yeah? And you're just barely lifting your hips as you do it. Here we go, we'll move with the breath. Inhale your hips up. Move your hips to the right and press them down. Inhale the hips up. Move back to center and press hips down. Inhale, lift your hips. Move to the left, press hips down. Inhale, center. And lower. Pause, we will do one more. Just one more observation. Keep the knees fairly stable as you isolate the movement of the pelvis. Inhale, lift your hips. Guide them to the right and press them down. Inhale, lift the hips. Guide them to center and press them down. Inhale, lift your hips. Move to the left and press. Inhale, lift. Move center and press. And pause, breathe. Let your knees fall to the right. Kind of letting the weight of your femurs just release. And you might feel a little stretch through the low back here. Your knees are to the right. Engage your left arm and look to the left. Like there's something on the floor you were reaching for with your left hand. Breathe in, reaching your fingers away from your knees. And breathe out, bring your knees back up to vertical, gaze back up to the sky. Other side, drop your knees to the left. Just letting the weight, letting gravity take over. And while you breathe here, you might be experiencing a stretch through the pelvis and low back. Then look to the right as you extend the arm, just reaching it out on the floor like there's something you were reaching for. Inhale and exhale. As you exhale, bring your knees back to vertical. And we'll go to each side. Drop your knees to the right, look left. Breathe in. Breathe out, return. Drop your knees to the left, look right. Inhale. Exhale, return. One more time, each side. Drop knees to the right, look left. Exhale, return. Drop knees to the left, look right. And return. Extend your legs long and stretch your arms above head. You can interlace hands if that's comfortable, or just reach. First time our arms are above head, allowing the shoulders to open a little bit. You might just rest here and breathe with your arms above head. Now we're going to connect our distal points, the far ends of our body, fingers and toes, to the proximal points, to the center of our body. Bring your knees to your hands. Inhale and exhale. Nod your chin as you lift your head, neck, and shoulders so you're looking to your navel. And we'll stretch our body long. Inhale, reach. Fingers away from toes. Exhale, draw your knees toward your nose. Inhale, reach. Exhale, gather. One last time, stretch. And gather. Release your head, neck, and shoulders. Release your feet. Take a breath before we transition. We We have one more thing on the floor, and then we'll come to a seated position, or a new position, I should say. Cross your right ankle over left femur. And as you do so, the right knee is out to the side. You're making a figure 4 with your legs. Then bring your left knee toward your chest. Breathe in and out. As you exhale, replace your left foot and switch. Left ankle crosses over right femur. Bring your femur toward the chest in the figure 4 position. Another breath in. And a breath out. Release your foot. We're transitioning yogis. You can roll to your right and use your hands to sit up. We're coming to a tabletop position. Hands and knees. We've talked about how to bolster the mat, so you're welcome to pad the knees or pad the wrists as you need. Cat and cow. Inhale, extend your tail and crown. Exhale, flex, doming your spine. Inhale, extend. Exhale, flex. 2 more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, flex. And 1 more. And flex. Return to neutral, and we'll do a little more opening for the side body. Pivot your right shin out, extend the left leg toward the back of the mat. Circle your left arm overhead. Coming into Parigasana, gate pose variation. Your bottom hand is strong. Really press down. That activates the underside of the torso. You're bringing your bottom ribs toward the bottom hip, and you're stretching the top ribs away from the top hip. Breathe in. And breathe out. Reverse your arm circle. Bring your hand and knee back to earth. We'll do that same thing, second side. Pivot your left shin out, extend the right leg. Circle your right arm up and over. Your body's opening toward the side of your mat. While you're here, imagine the rib and hip coming closer together on the bottom side, and the rib and hip moving away from each other on the top side. 1 more breath in. And breath out. Reverse your arm circle, hand and knee return to earth. Last thing in quadruped. Take your left arm, slide it under your right for a twist. Now, if you feel a little crowded, you can walk your torso forward a little bit. You can extend right arm forward or wrap your right arm behind your back. Yogi's choice. Return to your breath rhythm, long inhales and exhales. Last breath in, and breath out. Inhale, return to tabletop. And pause. We'll do that twist on the other side. Thread your right hand under the left, ear and shoulder come to the floor. And again, if you've ended up a little crowded, you can walk your shoulders forward. Option to extend left arm or wrap left arm behind your back. breathe out. On your next inhale, rise back to tabletop. And we'll pause here for just a moment. Transitioning to our belly to extend the spine. We'll come into Sphinx on your forearms. The arms aren't passive. Arms draw back toward your hips. And then you can imagine the front of your chest peeling open toward the space in front of you. The head sometimes likes to drop down. Bring your chin level to the horizon. Engage your eyes as if you were looking off into the distance. Elbows are still pulling back. You haven't lost any of that elbow action. One more breath in. And a breath out. Gently lower. And we'll come to child's pose. Press back. And you can widen your knees. Big toes come together, forehead to the floor. Breathe in and out. In child's pose, balasana, you might think about the breath expanding in the back body, near to your kidneys, below the ribs. You don't have to use those muscles to breathe, but you can. And our low back always needs a little extra attention, and breathing into that space is a great way to get the blood flowing and to find some mobility in your low back. Inhale, come up to tabletop, and we're transitioning all the way to standing. So however is easiest for you to come to standing yogis. Take breath as you come to standing. We were just really low to the earth, so you might be a little lightheaded as you make this big transition all the way to standing. All right, so we'll begin at the back of the mat with Warrior One. We covered this last week, so we'll go right into it. Turn your right foot out, step your left foot forward, and if you want to go a little further, you can take an extra step and get a bit wider. Square your hips to the front edge of your mat. Press firmly into your back heel. And as you're ready, sweep your arms above head. I'm recommending a V shape to your arms so you have some space for the shoulders. Think of the energy drawing from the pelvis, from the pubic bone, up through the center of your body toward the crown of your head. Take another breath in. As you exhale, bring your hands to your hips and step your back foot forward. And we'll walk back to do it again. Pivot your left foot out about 30 degrees and step forward, maybe 1 or 2 steps. Then square your hips to the front edge of your mat. Engage the back leg a little more and sweep arms up. Find your breath and make that a point of focus for the mind. Your gaze, your focus, your eye focus can be off in the distance. Exhale, hands to the hips, and step your back foot forward. Let's do it one more time, each side. We'll offer a little variation here, just to try it out. Turn your right foot out, step left foot forward. Find your strong legs and add the arms immediately. Here's your variation. Lean forward and sweep your arms back behind you. Just hinging your torso forward, looking at your big toe, and inhale, bring your body up again. Let's try it one more time. Reach forward as you lean, the crown of your head reaches forward, and inhale back up one last time. Lean forward, your back leg is still strong, and inhale, body up. Hands to hips, step your feet together, walk to the back of the mat. We'll do the other side. Pivot your left foot out, step the right foot forward, square the hips, add the arms, inhale. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hinge. Reaching forward with the crown as you hinge, inhale, rise. Exhale, hinge, last time. Inhale, rise. Hands to hips, step your feet together. Nice work. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Separate your feet about hips width apart. And if you're wondering what hips width is, you have these two bony landmarks in the pelvis. ASIS. There's also in the back the PSIS, but we're thinking about the ones in the front. There's two bones, and your feet kind of line up directly underneath those two bones. For me, it's about my fourth toe is right underneath that, so that my pinky toes are in line with the hips. Then, when we go into our forward fold, I want to encourage you to bend your knees and to maintain the knee bend once you go down. So, you have the knee bend, hinge forward from your hips. The spine stays long for as long as you can, and then you can drape your spine over your bent legs. So when you end up in your forward fold, your belly is close to your thighs, hands can rest on the floor. You're looking behind you. Shake your head no. Nod your head yes. Shift your weight forward and back a little bit toward the heels, toward the ball mounts of the feet. Breathe. Your legs are still bent, but you can press into the feet and lift the hips a little bit, not fully straightening the legs, but moving the legs towards straight while still keeping the belly close to the thighs. Breathe in and breathe out. Bend your knees, bring your hands to your thighs, engage the glutes as you inhale to stand all the way up. Breath in. And breath out. Okay, turn to face the long edge of your mat. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2 today. So we'll step the feet out, and however wide you went initially, go a little wider. So you can just toe heel the feet a little wider. We'll start with our right leg. Pivot the right leg out. And then go ahead and lunge into that leg a little bit. The front leg is rotating, so the inner thigh is rotating up. You're kind of showing the flat side of the thigh. The back leg, turn your toes forward a few degrees. Just lift your foot and bring your toes forward a little. And then you have a little more strength to press into your heel. Inhale, exhale, guide yourself into a lunge. Just a little bit more, and remember that front hip is rotating, back leg is strong. Sweep your arms out to the side. Your gaze cruises over your front hand. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. And exhale. One more breath, yogis. As you exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Bring your right leg forward, and we'll go to the left side. Pivot your left heel, or left leg out. Pivot on the heel, the left leg, and then lunge a little bit. Now, as we check out the setup, the inner thigh is rotating up. You can even use your hand to help remind the leg what it's doing. Then the back foot, lift the toes and move them forward just a few degrees. So you really can get strong through the back heel as you lunge. Inhale, sweep your arms out. Inhale and exhale. Last breath in. Hands to your hips. Bring your feet back together by toe heeling them together. And then with your feet together, you might notice, whoo, those inner thighs were working, or outer thighs, they were also working. I would like to do it one more time. I'll give you something to think about. So, as you're doing warrior, the legs are rotating opposite one another. So I'm going to use my thumbs so you can see. If these were my femurs, imagine my fists are the heads of my femurs, one femur is rotating outward, laterally, toward the outside of the body. The other femur is rotating medially toward the middle of the body. So you feel in your hip socket these bones rotating the same direction. And you feel that sort of counter tension in the body, and then you lift up out of it. All right, so that's what we can think about as we do our second round, and I'll add a little arm variation for us. Step your feet out, and then go a little wider than you would maybe naturally land. Pivot your right foot out, pivot your left toes in. Go ahead and think about the rotational element of the femoral heads in the pelvis, and sweep your arms out. Inhale, sweep your arms above head, extend that front leg. Exhale, back to your lunge. Think about that rotation. Inhale, arms above head. Exhale, back. One more time. And return, hands to the hips as you transition to your other side. Right toes in, little crawling adjustments with the feet as you then go to left side. Think about your femur heads. Extend the arms. Now a little movement. Inhale, arms above head. Extend the front leg. Exhale, back to the lunge. Inhale, rise. Exhale. One more. And return. Bring your toes forward and then toe heel your feet together once again. Just to give your legs a little break. We have one more wide-legged fold today. And for those who asked for hip opening, here you go. We did a lot of it. So just one more forward fold, and I'll demonstrate it once before we get into it. We'll forward fold, wide-legged, but then we'll walk our hands forward so you have about half of your weight on the hands and the feet. And when you're here, I'll ask you to bend your knees and look behind yourself so you can dome your spine, letting your spine round. While we're here, we'll shift our weight to the hands, to the feet, to the hands, to the feet. As we're doing that, we're, again, domed through the spine, so you feel the strength of your mid-back support you when you rock your weight to your hands. We'll do that 10 times. Come back to the forward fold and return to standing. Let's give it a whirl, yogis. You're in a wide-legged forward fold. I'll go kind of diagonally so you can see. Breathe in and breathe out, fold over your legs. Once you're upside down, your hands can come to the floor. Look forward and walk your hands forward about a foot. Then look behind you. So you're letting the head hang heavy. Now shift your weight forward and back. Forward, you feel your ribs expand, and back. Forward, back, forward, back. 4 more on your own rhythm, using the breath. Feeling some strength through the shoulders and upper back. And last time, forward and back. Good, stay in a forward fold. You can take a grip, maybe hands to ankles or elbows around thighs. Another breath in. And a breath out. Bend your knees, hands to thighs. Inhale, take multiple breaths as you come all the way up to standing. And we'll toe, heel, feet back together. Nice work, yogis. Sorry, my mat wanted to adjust itself. We'll do one more pose on our feet before taking it down to the floor, tree pose. So we've offered progressive variations. We did one foot in front of the other, and I think we did foot on foot. Let's try foot to shin. So you're standing on one leg, place the opposite foot on your shin. Hands can be on the hips to begin. That helps me find stability. You can bring your hands to the center of your chest. That can also help establish stability. If you're feeling stable, you can take your arms above head. One more inhale and exhale. Return the foot to the floor and notice the muscles that were vibrating to support you have calmed down. We'll go to the other side. Shift your weight to that standing leg and take foot to shin. Hands can begin on the hip if that was helpful. Or if it was more helpful to have hands at the center of your chest. One more breath in. Release your foot. Nice work. Let's come to a seat on the mat. As you find your seat, take your feet in front of you, quite a bit of space between your heels and your pelvis. If it works for you, or if you have them available, you can put a pillow or something under your knees to support. And then we'll just lean forward. And here, you could also use another prop for your forehead, if that's comfortable. Find your breath rhythm. Let your mind rest gently on the breath rhythm. And inhale your body back up. One more round of Dandasana, seated staff pose. And we'll do a couple variations here. So in seated staff pose, it's just sitting with your legs straight. That's the spine is the staff. Dandasana. Arms can press down gently beside your hips to give you a little lift. Now keep that lift and length through your spine. Take your arms above head. I'll call these cheerleader arms. Your thumbs are pointing back behind you. Your hands are flexed. You're sitting up really tall. You're stretching. Chest is wide. This is essentially the shape of downward dog. Heels pressing forward. Tailbone would be lifting to the sky and your arms would be bearing weight. Take one more breath here and then release your hands in front of you. Now if you need to adjust your legs, you can. You can bend the knees to be a little more comfortable. We'll do a little eye exercise to finish. Your arms are directly forward and I like to use my thumbs as a drishti or point of focus. Take your right thumb up and follow, and down. Left thumb up, follow with your eyes only, and down. One more time up on the right, and down. Up on the left, and down. Down on the right, following with your eyes, and up. Down on the left, and up. Down on the right, and up. Down on the left, and up. Diagonal. Oh, sorry, no, side to side. Thumb to the right, just the eyes move, and back. Thumb to the left, nose stays forward and back. To the right, and back. To the left, and back. Diagonal. Upright, and back. Down left, and back. Upright, and back. Down left, and back. Down right, and back. Up left, and back. Down right, and back. Up left, and back. Big finish. Right thumb circle. Follow as far as your eyes can see the thumb. Left thumb circle. Reverse right thumb circle. Reverse left thumb circle. Ooh. Rub your palms together and close your eyes. You might squint your eyes and let those eye muscles relax. Keep rubbing your hands vigorously, maybe generating some heat in the palms of your hands. Then place your warm palms over your closed eyes, absorbing that energy from the palms. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed as we transition to our backs. Or if you need to look to see where you're going, you can open them. Coming on to the back, we'll finish with Happy Baby before Shavasana. Happy Baby, you can hug the knees. There's a few variations. Supta Baddha Konasana or Happy Baby. You can hug knees. You can hold feet. You can separate your feet. You could rock side to side. This last minute is absolutely for you, yogis. Whatever movement your body needs, I invite you to do that movement. And while you're moving, breathe. Enjoy another breath or two. Begin to make your way onto your back for Shavasana. Your legs can extend. Your palms can be open toward the sky. Breathe in, yogis. And breathe out. Notice the parts of your body that connect with the floor. And with each breath, allow one body part to become more connected, to sink down into the earth, to soften, to release from effort. You may begin at the feet and move toward the head. You may begin at the head and move toward the feet. You may begin at the proximal points, the fingers and toes, and move toward the center. However you go through the body, spend a breath in each body part, allowing those parts to sink. Gently guiding yourself into meditation by observing the body as you breathe. Gently bring your attention back to your space. Deepen your inhale and exhale. Wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing movement back to the body gently. Stretch arms overhead. And if you haven't already, transition to the right and press up to seated. I'll offer a mantra before we close, and I invite you to join for an Om to close our practice. Vakrakunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu sarvada. One Om. Inhale. Nod your head to meet your heart. Honoring the work you've done to unite mind, body, and spirit, and sharing that sense of unity with the world. Namaste. Well, yogis, how are we doing?